Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and hi. Today, my topic is going to be on self-paced micro-credential, scaffolding psychomotor fashion skills in hybrid studio pedagogy. So the situation was there's a mobility program happening between Universitas Mercu Buana and Universiti Malaysia Kelantan, and I happen to be the coordinator for the subject, and the subject that we choose was Lukisan Tekstil Fesyen. And for your information, this is a psychomotor domain, meaning that they had to draw, they had to understand the concept and then use their hand to create the final design. And this is a design course. Okay, so one of the things that's hard to do in psychomotor is to teach online. But in order to make it happen was we created Micro-Credentials short videos where the students are able to watch the video again and again, to reverse or to fast forward according to their pace. So the good thing about this Micro-Credential is that, or was that, it allows the student to learn following their pace. So let's get this clear. The students are the Malaysian students. There are times where the Malaysian students and the Indonesian students have to come together, meaning the class was live. And to make it happen, we use Padlet to exchange ideas or fast sketches. So basically in illustration, the first thing you have to do is to create sketches, and then comes the illustration. Illustration is something, a drawing that's more detailed, and to make this happen, there's a number of videos, or we call it micro-credentials, where the students have access to, and they can play the video according to their time. And what we did was we gave the video as a bulk to the student, meaning that the UMK student and the Universitas Mercu Buana students all had the same access to the videos. And I usually ask them to watch the first video or the first 3 videos before the class start. And because of the time differences, meaning that over there, meaning the Mercu Buana students, timeline, they are available on Friday, but in Kelantan we don't work on Friday. So what we did was usually the class only happens about 3 times per month. It's not really regular. It only happens if the student needed it, and for me to assess the progress that the students are making. Okay, to make this happen, there are a number of tools that we used. For instance, there's Google Meet. Google Meet happen when everyone have to come online, and the physical student, meaning the student from Universiti Malaysia Kelantan, they had to come to the studio as shown in the picture. Okay, and so another thing that we did was when the Universiti Kelantan student, UMK student, had to draw on paper, and the UMB student had to draw their sketches, how to exchange these ideas were they had to upload their work in the Padlet. Okay, so that's one thing. And another thing that we used was before the class started, they had to watch the Micro-Credentials videos. This helps them to understand, and in the physical or the live classes is when, or was when, they ask questions. And that's why it's really important for them to watch the Micro-Credential videos before the class starts, as the physical meeting or the live meeting only happens so it's not so regular. It only happens if the student needed it, or if I wanted to give an assignment. And okay, so the good thing about Micro-Credential is that it allows the students to learn at their own pace, and not all students are fast, and some are hard to catch up. But with Micro-Credentials, they are able to learn in their own pace. And I honestly believe that it's possible to teach practical domain online with a really detailed Micro-Credential module, and we have came up with the module. Looking at the video here, I've inserted some links that you can watch, and these were the modules used. If you look here, that's the module 1 of textile and fashion drawing. In the lessons, it's about head counts. In illustration, we use head, the size of the head, to determine the actual length of the illustration as written here. So most of the explanation was done in Micro-Credential, and I only had to repeat or to make the student understand the situation when the class was physical and online, and it has to happen in both ways. So there are situations where I will ask the student to draw before they could proceed to the next task. If you see here, I'm going on the second example that I've included in the paper, and each module was no longer than 10 minutes, and it's named Micro-Credential because it's micro, it's not long, it won't take a lot of the students' time, and if the internet connection is poor or was poor, they could download it, I don't know, maybe at McDonald's or something, and then they could go back and watch it at home. So that's one of the key factors why Micro-Credentials were used for mobility subjects. So this is something that's absolutely a pleasure to get to be involved in, and I highly recommend Micro-Credential to everyone. Starting off the class, I will give a Micro-Credential to the students. The students here were the UMB and UMK student about my background, where I explain about my name, what this subject was going to be, the modules that they had to go through, and what they are expected from the classes. Okay, so I've told them a little bit about my background, and then how it's going to happen, what they need. For example, they need a laptop or an iPad, a telephone, something that they could watch the Micro-Credentials from. And then another thing that they had to do was they need to always look at their WhatsApp. So WhatsApp here is very important because any information regarding the classes were written in the WhatsApp. So if, for example, they missed something, they could refer to WhatsApp. And even though I gave all of the modules to them, I've also placed the module according to what they are to learn in the WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is a very, very important, it's vital for it to happen, especially in the mobility cases like us. And basically they just had to click, watch, and do the task at their own pace. And only if it's a live classes where they had to play, they had to draw physically, and sometimes I asked them to hold up their camera and record their processes to see if what they're doing was right. And another thing that I did was everyone had to create their own website, meaning here that at the start of the class I taught them how to create website using Google Site. Now the reason why I use Google Site is because I wanted to standardize everybody, and if anybody had issues, it would be easy to solve and everybody could see, and hopefully when they happen to have the same problem, they could just solve it on their own. Okay, so the website looks something like this. Everything that they do is inserted inside the website, and the website is accessible for all of the students, and also their marks are able to be seen by their classmates. Okay, the reason why we did this was we wanted for the students to self-improve, meaning here that if they get lower marks, they will open the student with higher marks and see how to improve themselves. And one of the things that I find interesting with this project was the students online, meaning the MPU student, the Mercu Buana student, scored higher than the Universiti Malaysia Kelantan student. The finding might be biased because there's only 3 students from MPU, but then again, looking at how UMK students are able to ask me questions directly, and the independent student from the MPU, it's fascinating to see that physical or online, it doesn't matter. As long as you understood the task, understood the micro-credential, and you follow the guideline, you can score anywhere, anytime. So to conclude this session, I would like to say that I would like to thank Universitas Mercu Buana and especially Universiti Malaysia Kelantan for giving me this opportunity, and I believe that my finding or our finding could benefit others, especially for psychomotor domain based subject. Thank you.